Hello, bots. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to SketchCraft Live. I'm Rob D. Here to join me to talk a little bit is Brandon, Mega Potato James. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
And they can see you. So, what's up, Mark? What's up, Crusher? I got some fan. I'm going to do 2 videos. This is one of 2. Fan Q&A. Got a couple questions recently, and I thought I'd get through this now because people need help now, and I kind of got a lot of other work to do. I don't want to do this later. So, question numero uno. This comes from Facebook. Adrian asked this. His name is Adrian. He's a huge fan of my work. Thank you. Really appreciates my attention to light and color. Right now, he's faced with the biggest commission of his career.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? And it turns out that light and color play a major part in the image that he has to, or she has to create. Who knows, right? Adrian's a guy name? Who can know? Oh, no, Adrian! Yeah. I don't know.
Either.
They, either or, Zer, whatever. Do you have any videos that you have made or found that deal with these elements? If so, if you would be great help. So I basically replied to him, I don't have an overall lighting and coloring video because, like, that's really hard to do some global thing. There are basic videos already out there on the internet you can find, like through Nomon on Color Theory, but I don't quite think that's what he's asking for. So I said, is there anything specifically you're trying to do? And he replied, it's for a music fest, and the theme is comic books. He's going to have the main heroes on stage playing and some females in the crowd. Since it deals with stage lighting, he felt that paying attention to the light will play a big part, and that a rock show, but he also wants to have comic book feel. Any tips? He'd like to send me the line art, but he has a non-disclosure agreement. So I wanted to think about this for a second, and I would say, look, let's say you get an opportunity, kind of starting out, and you get an opportunity to work on a cover or a big promo piece for an indie book or something. They're like, Brandon, we want you to paint a map.
Which has happened.
Yeah, and it's kind of some specific advice. In this case, it's a rock concert stage. So there's 2 ways you can go about it. One, you can go on the internet, dig up some photo reference, sample the colors, and just basically plop that basic thing into your image. Or 2, you can do the other thing, which is sort of analyze what's out there, go for a look that you're trying to achieve, and do that. And that I didn't really say much there, but just bear with me. I want to show you. So if we go over to here, I've gone into Google and I've just typed rock concert into Google. Now right away you can see all the basic like generic lighting for different kinds of concerts. And what do they all seem to have in common, Brandon, right? They have silhouettes in the foreground, right? Color in the back.
You got the silhouettes of the shapes of the artists, the musicians, or maybe the hands up in the air, and then you got the strobe light, crazy lights going on.
The problem with just following this to a T is your art can end up looking pretty generic. I don't know how to describe why that is, but if you look at t-shirts for like, remember like the t-shirts with the giant auto cars on the back and they'd have the big smoky lights and, airbrushed rims and stuff? Like, I always feel like you're entering that, we call it the rendered look, the airbrush look, What I would do is think, am I trying to, first off, anytime I color anything, I don't care if it's stage lighting, I don't care if it's saucy thing with watercolor, if it's going to be an exterior, whatever I'm going to color. Only thing I'm interested in, and you, the artist, whoever out there you're starting out with, you should think about creating an emotion. Not what colors to use, even so much as trying to, like, which way do I reflect the light sources, and forget all that nonsense. Just think, what kind of emotion are you trying to invoke? And anything you do. If it's Hulk, is it an aggression? Is it goofiness, right? Like, is it, what is the feeling? Can you boil it down? And then can you apply a color to that emotion? You can't just say awesomeness and then pick all the fucking colors. Now, you can do that. Like, you could put all of the colors here, like right here, right? Orange, blue, purple, yellow, green. It's going to look like a fucking tub of shit. You don't want to make art like that, and you don't want to make art like this, and you got to be even very careful when you're doing something like this, where it's green here, blue, purple, and then red up in the front. This is dangerous.
That's a lot for your eyes.
It's dangerous. So as an artist, you have to take these sort of things and then boil them down to tasteful colors. Let me kind of walk you through what I would immediately what I would think of is warm or cool, right? Warm or cool. Do I want like a red or a blue? And if I want a red or a blue, can I do that without doing a red or a blue? I'm gonna go ahead and move this on top of my other thing and then put Photoshop and just go ahead and see if we can't. With anything I do, I like to do a thumbnail, right? And we can just go ahead and pick like a 50% gray. And then let's just say I was gonna grab. We can come here and grab one of these stupid things. So we'll use this. I'm sure that's close enough. All right. So I know for myself, I like the concept in the actual dimensions. I imagine this is not a comic book dimension that they're trying. Yeah, so they're not making some widescreen. But if you take this and you apply black and white to it, you know, you immediately sort of figure from a value perspective, value meaning black and white, that you want to figure out your focal point, right? Everything kind of comes down to like, where's the focal point? So is your stage area way back here, and there's like some dudes here, you know, and then in the background you're gonna have like the lighters, right? The lights, right, leading you into something, right? I imagine if it's a comic book, it's probably gonna look more like this, and it's gonna be your main character's probably gonna take up a majority of the images, like. If I just carved out a piece of light here, and then I figured the main characters are like, I don't know, this big, you know? It's like, we rock and roll, everybody, yeah. This looks like dog shit, but this is how it starts for me, you know? Sometimes just getting this sort of thing down. Screen. And just very quickly trying to like figure out some kind of like focal point, you know? You gotta be careful with this stuff, dude. Like, if I applied a gradient map right over this thing to kind of like concept out some color, see? Look at that. I can go, oh, there's a color scheme I could use. Maybe I could come up with another gradient map color scheme. That's my... There you go. We can do green lights. Or invert it. Boom. And what I generally do is I'll build like maybe 4 or 5 of these things and immediately send off 4 or 5 of these little thumbnails, these color ones, off to the publisher and let them decide which direction they kind of want to go in. See how that kind of works? And you can pull that from something like a reference, but really boil down your reference to very minimal things. Like if you're going to have, like let's say you wanted a blue background and a green. We don't want red. Don't do that. You can have, you know, a blue and a green. If you wanted something like that, you can build a green. Let's say this is kind of, well, this is greenish. It's green enough, right? But let's say I wanted to actually make one. Fuck. Sometimes it selects the masks. We're going to give it a yellow core. And then we'll just create this gradient map. You gotta be careful with lime greens, right? Because they don't print well. So that's actually what it would print like. So I'm gonna come back into my gradient map here. And rather than sample that green that doesn't actually exist, I'll pick some colors that kind of do. And again, give myself here. Okay. So you can build a green thing, and then you can build a purpley thing, and then paint in the mask. So if I come here and create, let's see, I probably already have something. Do I? Do I have a purpley thing? always save all these. There we go. That's close enough. Um, so I could come here and in the mask, see, you could there. And if you wanted, sort of like this is a real generic thing to do. That obviously doesn't look that great because it comes down to like setting up your value. So you'd really want to get the lighting first, and then you can do color choices. And I like to use the gradient maps as quick as possible for this sort of thing. And with the gradient maps, they give you total control over the whole image. And then you can just take those same gradient maps, drop them over your characters once they're drawn, and turn down the opacity on just where the characters are so they're tinted by it, but they don't have to be completely in color. So, does any of that make sense, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, and that sets a real cool mood when you do something like that, to where it's not, I'm not the best at my wording, but overpowering, but it has a cool mood to it. Kind of like you blending it all together as one solid piece, but not blurring out the main focus of the characters. I don't know if I word that
I
right.
know. Well, it's tough because it's like, when I was starting out, I didn't want to paint in black and white because I didn't get it,
Mm-hmm.
And so to understand lighting, you really need to understand the value of it. Forget hue, right? So there's value, which is black and white, and then hue is the color. And trying to figure out where to draw your focus and then how big that focus is going to be is important. And then use gradient maps. And I could set that to color, duplicate that same gradient map, set it to darken to put that orange back in there. I can control the opacity of that. I could duplicate it again, create like an overlay if I wanted. You can take the gradient maps and do a lot of different things to them to control the color. And then in black and white, I can come right underneath. And look, you can go back when you're done and still do this with cuts and grads in terms of the final rendering. You just select these basic colors, if you want to. But for the backgrounds, I always like to use the gradient maps. Even though in the Final Fantasy VII, that's the whole background's a gradient map. I have to go there and airbrush green and purple and all that shit. And then you let them, i.e. your publisher, decide which direction do they want green. Do they want that kind of green? Purple, white. I think it's one of the things when you were making that map, I was like, get in quick and start letting them make a lot of decisions up in the front.
Right.
Because if you sit here trying to figure out the world's greatest rock color scheme, that maybe they hate purple. Maybe they hate, whatever. What I would do when you're choosing colors though for this, when you're making your own gradient maps and you're actually picking color schemes, just a couple tips of advice. Don't mix red, green, and blue. Pick green with yellow cores or blue, toward the edge. Monochromatic or a split complementary scheme. So across from the color wheel, like if you look at your color wheel, let me bring this up. Window, extensions, colorist. Should be right here. I want to bring colorist up. This is an extension you can get. Color wheel for Photoshop. So here I can work let me highlight this. This is a complementary scheme, so I can at all times pick between two different colors. So between red and blue, and come into a mixer. I can mix between the two. Or three. You gotta be careful about the three. So when I rotate this, you can see this goes green to teal to purple. I'm gonna be careful about that. I like to stick with two colors or one color going into its own value. So like all red with orange core and like a nice purple exterior. But you could study that from a lot of photo reference. Be careful about doing the strip club thing. Strip club, you ever see like when you type in this, or I'll show you. When you type in this, Vegas Casino, right? And having worked on a lot of casino fucking covers for Tom, you don't want to be coloring something like this. This is a Nucking Fightmare, right? Like, see all the fucking different colors, all the mirrors and shit. Like, I would just go, okay, purple with blue, or orange with red, you know, maybe more of a gold scheme, and I'd tone down some of the saturation a little bit, you know. Don't exactly copy life because sometimes life is fucking horror. Like this is horrible. You don't want this,
Yeah.
you know. So you gotta like, yeah, you gotta learn to pare these down. I always learn like in t-shirts, you know, how to like take something that's this complex and pare it down to that's cream with red. There's something, and maybe a nice gold, unsaturated gold finish, like a copper, goldish, not bright yellow, super bright yellow, but you can, or this could all be monochromatic, and the characters are wearing red, right? So there's ways to pare these sort of light color schemes down. But like I know, like I worked on stuff once where you know they were like, oh, we're gonna build this. That's Yahoo. That's not what I'm trying to do. Um, you got to be careful about like when you get this isn't so bad, but you know, like every like this is bad, right? You don't want giant pinks and shit like that. So unless it's like gem, I mean, I guess that makes sense. But like, see this? This is a bad photo. You look right here. You know, and you're like, what? Where's the
Yeah.
band? I can't see no one. I just see heads. So try not to also flatten your shit up here. But light is really about value, folks. And I just think that getting the painting portion down and then concepting your color schemes using gradient maps is the way to win. You know, like I didn't have to go there and pick orange and pink and purple, you know, and guess all that shit. So, and if you don't know what gradient maps are, folks, I got an art tip video on gradient maps and everything else. So, yeah, we're at 18 minutes. Brandon, you have any questions? You have any questions about this sort of thing?
No, I don't. I mean, I think you made some good points about giving the editor some options. You know, maybe like you said, 3 options.
Yeah. Yeah, like if this is my stick figure, my band members, are they going to be this small on the page, you know,
Right.
or are they going to be like, you know, like just coming out the darkness with the guitar, you know, like, you know, they could just see like the hands, we love you, know,
The
and
hands with the lighters.
yeah, and then you could see immediately, you know, then you could always come back in there and you gotta learn about core rendering and stuff, but you can come back in there and paint in. I don't have my painting brushes set up right now. All my stuff set up. How much of them you want to add into the light, right? Like make their eyes all in focus and shit. And see, I'm like really into cuts and grads right now, so I don't have all my painting brushes all set up here. And as I add more white, I get more of that orange core. And then if it's like, hey, you want red, or maybe you want like the green thing, the lime green thing. So, and you can obviously paint the mask and develop a split color if you wanted to do green with purple back here. You know, like that's possible. Like they're all in green in the background is more like purple. That's possible. But whew, this could go on, folks. This could go on forever. This is something like if you're under a deadline. If you're under a deadline, quickly create your composition in black and white. Figure out the scale of your characters. If you got like a little dude, little band, if they're big, whatever they are, and then pop open some gradient maps and start creating some color schemes and let them pick from that. When they pick from it, go draw your piece. Take those same gradient maps. They scale up. They're not resolution dependent. Fill the whole thing up with that stuff. But with the characters, you just mask them. You can take the gradient map and make a mask of it so they're just tinted by the color, however much you want. You don't have to make it all tonal. Does that make sense, Brandon?
Hmm.
They're not all going to be purple if you don't want them to. It can just be tonal. So, gradient maps are your friends, folks. These things are super awesome. Not a lot of people use them, know how to use them. I've used them to color entire images. Can't say that's exactly what you should do. But in terms of building global light sources, like if I was going to color this room, super fucking easy. Anything else, Brandon?
No.
Was that confusing?
No, I mean, like I said, you're pretty straightforward with. I think the biggest point I take away from all this is the mood. Like I know you've embedded that in my brain for years. I remember one time I did a Deadpool piece and I tried to make it funny and kind of like actiony. I guess I don't know best way to say that, but like him trying to be a killer but also be funny, and it just came off really bad. And you just told me, what are you trying to go for? Are you trying to go for the funny Deadpool or the action Deadpool? And I didn't have an answer for you because I didn't know what I was actually trying to make. And I think that's a good starting point to know the mood before you start it.
Yeah, if you're gonna have like a thriller concert, like a where they're pretending to be zombies, that's a whole color scheme versus if it's fire's gonna be in the background and guitars, right? Then it would be warm with oranges and reds and stuff like that. So the mood is very important. The value and the focal point using black and white to create that composition, the initial composition, and then using gradient maps to just block in the global lighting thing and give them options. Let them decide which way they want you to go. And
Yeah.
do that like the first day. That's all you do. Um, I know I annoy the shit out of some of my publishers when here's this and here's this, and then they don't hear from me once they make decisions because I'm off making
Right.
the thing. So, all right. I'll be back in a minute. I got one other question to go over, and I don't want to merge these videos. So this will be up full live and the whole thing. I'm a little scatterbrained tonight, folks. I just saw a movie, so it's kind of messing with my head. But hopefully this helped in some way, Adrian. I don't know. I hope hope it
Good
helped
luck.
somehow. Yeah, yeah. And don't worry, as folks, anytime you get like the big job, understand it's not the last one. If you're
Right.
productive, you'll have another opportunity. So don't over fucking think it. All right. Talk later. Bye.
Bye.